Hello, hello. Welcome to your reading. Whenever you tune in, this may be relevant for you. There's no time frame on this reading. So I'm going to start with the theme cards for today. Always shuffle the theme cards off camera and I just ask, what are we talking about for today's reading? So today I grabbed from the Mystic Sisters, the Mystic Sisters deck. We have Sisters of Harmony in reverse and Persephone at the bottom of the deck. These cards are so beautiful. I also shuffled from my favorite deck. If you've been here for a little bit with me, you know that I constantly shuffle from this deck. I was trying to figure out if this deck is still available and if there is like another collection of decks that I could get from this artist, but it was so hard to find and I got this so long ago, so if you're looking for this deck it might be kind of difficult to find. So anyways, we have Curiosity that came out and 0 Point in reverse at the bottom of the deck with Recognition and Listen in reverse. So starting with the first cards that came out, Sisters of Harmony and Persephone, I immediately began thinking of parts work and collaborating with all parts of yourself, making sure all parts of yourself are on board with this new venture that you're wanting to do. With Sisters of Harmony, it talks a lot about collaborating with other people. It also talks about sharing your ideas with supportive people, making sure that everybody's on board for this to work, so that in this example image, it almost seems like people who are trying to sing in harmony. It reminded me of Destiny's Child and the way that in the 2000s, like groups like girl and boy bands would change members a lot to kind of find that chemistry, or even like a band like Led Zeppelin. When I think of old bands, I'm constantly wondering how they found a group of people who went to become like icons of music history, and like how mystical that almost seems, because it's just like, what are the odds of finding these people who create something that is that influential? I don't know. That concept is so interesting. So this talks about a similar thing and it emphasizes a creative endeavor. So it's something that you're wanting to explore, to build. It could be a business, could even just be as small as a decision, and there is something that feels internalized about making a decision about something or putting yourself out there or finalizing plans around something. It feels like your anxiety, your anxious self and your overthinking self has to be on board with the self that is wanting to take the leap, that's saying F it, that is really cultivating all these ideas. There's an image that I'm getting, and it's a visualization of all versions of yourself sitting at the table, and one side is maybe the more shadowy side, whether it's your anxiety or the part of you that isn't analysis paralysis, isn't taking action. So there's one side of the table that's sitting in sort of dim lighting, and then there's another side of the table that's super bright, and that's your wild side, that's your risk-taking, of the adventure-seeking side. That's the side of you that's super creative, that has all of these ideas and is trying to present it to the other side of the table. And the other side of the table is like, why would you do that? We're not going to do that. That's not safe. Da 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 da. So that leads me into this card, Curiosity. It's funny that I was talking about the shadow side of the table. I bring that up because of Persephone, being that she was brought into the underworld and becomes ruler of the underworld. And there's something about her that there's this maturation from maiden to something, some kind of fusion between mother and crone. This, because she's taken into the other underworld, there is this, I almost want to say corruption, but she essentially, what I'm getting is like this need to mature within this sector of your life. So there's this maybe childish way in which you usually would approach this. The best example I could give it is like you're taking something from a hobby and turning it into a real business, or you're playing around with love and knowingly choosing bad people to be with because they seem more exciting and more fun. And now, wherever you are in your life, you're really contemplating, like, okay, well, there's this part of me that wants seriousness. I'm tired of people treating me a certain way. So those may be some like relevant examples. But in this curiosity card, we have this depiction of a door opening, and it is bringing in the light into a dark space. So again, there's this balancing act of fear is coming up. The word fear is coming up, bringing the light of curiosity to the heaviness of fear. And this can be experimental. You can maybe change your perspective of how you're looking at this project or the situation. Doesn't feel like a relationship. It feels like it could either be a choice or it's something that you're building or experimenting with. It feels like it could be a project or a choice. There's a sense of hesitation, a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety around this because there's so much conversation happening internally that is pushing you forward and then pulling you back. Okay, I'm getting that the process of, I hate to use that word corruption because it feels so nasty. Let's say maturation. So the process of Persephone being a young girl, being brought into the underworld, could be a depiction of a corrupt place, or seeing the world, the other side of the world. I'm trying not to get too far into this metaphor, but Persephone sees the light, beautiful part of the world when she's with her mother. And then when she's brought down into the underworld, that is still part of the world. It's just a different part of the world that she's never been exposed to before, which forces her into maturation. So with this metaphor, it feels as though a part of her in this story dies because of her exposure to this other side of the world. So in this situation, it seems like there is a need to sacrifice these parts of you to be able to allow yourself to be curious and execute in whatever this plan is. And I started thinking about that because of the skulls, because of my mention of corruption and what that could mean. And this feels so intense and symbolic. It really doesn't have to be. It's done through practice. So the light side can be brought in here. That light side of your table includes your inner child as well. Your inner child is curious, it's playful. It doesn't necessarily say that if it posts a video that there's people out there that might like laugh at them. They might even consider that the laughter is being is in joining them and laughing at whatever they're doing, or they might laugh with the people who are maybe laughing at them. Like they are just enjoying the process of posting the video, of doing the silly thing, of experimenting, of being playful. So 0 point field, I say field, 0 point in reverse. I feel like that pairs really well with curiosity and this discussion of the inner child. It's so crazy because there's two things happening here. There's this maturation and this wisdom of knowing that there's parts of you that need to be sacrificed or even tempered so that you're able to show up in this new way. So that takes a level of wisdom and maturation and willingness to do the hard thing. And the hard thing is showing up. The hard thing is moving past your fear. But then also there's a balance of this lighter side, this more childlike side, the playful side of you that is starting from the beginning. It reminds me of the Fool card in tarot, where it is very childlike. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm just realizing we have 0 point here, and then the Fool card is the 0 card. So starting from scratch, you're starting from new. This thing you've never done before. I'm laughing because I'm also thinking of the relationship example that I had of you're starting new. In that example, it'd be like, I don't date guys like this. I don't date girls like this. I don't date people like this. This is not my usual type, but I'm starting over, and for some reason I'm curious to try this person out because I am drawn to something about them that is very new, very fresh. So I don't know, that something about that feels very fun, very playful. You can look at the project as taking someone out for a date that you've never tried. So there's so many different ways that you can look at the situation depending on what it is. There's some like lightness that you could bring to it, even laughing at the fact that it feels silly, it feels goofy, it feels weird, you don't know what you're doing yet, but that can be turned into an exhilarating thing. So okay, I've talked a lot with just these oracle cards, so let's see what the tarot has to say. There's something that's it's like going on a roller coaster. There's something that's both frightening about it. I've never ridden on a roller coaster. I'd be willing to do it one day, but no, that's just not my thing. But another metaphor would be imagining that rush of being on a roller coaster. It's so frightening. It's scary. That's why some people might go towards it, because they know it's frightening. Those adrenaline junkies, they get that high of doing something that they're afraid of, and then once they get off the roller coaster, they realize they were safe the whole time. Like, it was something fun to do. It was something new. Say I go on a roller coaster, somebody who's never done that before. Once I get off of it, I'll realize, like, wow, I faced a fear, I survived. Nothing was gonna happen in the first place. You know, maybe I go back and I'm like, I'm gonna do that again. That was actually really cool. I'm glad I did that. Especially after the first time you do it, the second time, the third time, eventually the fifth time, you're gonna show up more and more, and it's gonna feel maybe still a little bit strange, but not as frightening as the first time. Or those first date jitters. Which makes me think that whatever this is, it's really not that serious, and your fear is making it more serious than it actually is. And I hate that I'm laughing so much in this reading. But my response feels like there's like like it's not that deep. I don't know. It's something like just thinking more into it, thinking more about it. I feel like you would laugh at it too. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be gamified. Sacrificing this part of yourself is a part of the maturation process. Like, you're not meant to take or exist as this person anymore. And if I'm using anxiety as an example, anxiety is there for it can be a positive thing, but it's almost as if you're living too much in that state. It makes me, I haven't seen that movie in a while, so I don't really remember what happens in The Bubble Boy. I'm pretty sure Jake Gyllenhaal was in that movie, but I have so many examples for y'all. I hope that's not overkill, but you're living in this bubble. Jake is living in this bubble, and it turns out that his family was just protecting him from the outside world, and he actually wasn't that sick. I think that's how that movie went, but that's the example that I'm getting. You've been in protection mode for so long that even painting a picture seems like a red alert, and it's just painting a picture. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to. I hope you don't think I'm laughing at you. I don't know. It's so relatable though. It's so easy to hide, to believe the fear. But you have something to share. You have other suitors to go and meet. You have something you want to create. You have ideas that want to be birthed through you. That's the other thing too. What happens whenever the maiden matures, this is the path of, I don't know the formal terminology for it, but this is the journey of the feminine. It comes from being the child, which is considered maiden, and then it develops into the mother, where it births a child, or it matures and it decides that it wants to create something. So it seems that this message, like, I'm wanting to talk more about creating something. So the maturation process that you're being pushed to go through is wanting you to become a creator of some sort. The mother creates this thing that it later births after 9 months in itself, inside of itself. So there's something inside you that's wanting to be created. It wants to grow, it wants to mature, it wants to breathe. I'm thinking of the child coming out, and it's experiencing oxygen and air and going outside, breathing fresh air. This idea wants to breathe. It wants to take its first breath. It wants to exist, not just inside you. Like, it wants to be tangible. You want it to be tangible. You want to experience it. Okay, we had like a chunk of 3 cards come out. There's some indecisiveness, some scattered energy, and then the Queen of Swords in reverse makes me think of somebody who's just very guarded. Like, they're protecting their ideas. They're very defensive about like their thought process, their mind, their curiosities. It's like you're doing all this in the dark. Ooh. Wheel of Fortune. This flew out. It like turned on itself. There's like a stagnancy, a lack of movement. it also is like this time is ticking, like it's time, like now is the time. Or even the concept of there's no right time, there's no better time. It's almost like internally you're waiting for you to be or have or know the perfect amount or present yourself in a perfect way. There's no right time, there's no wrong time. The best time would have been yesterday or an hour ago. You know what I'm saying? But you're very protective. That Queen of Swords in reverse, you're very protective of your ideas, of your mind, of your thought process. Maybe the person I'm talking to is wanting to share their writings. I'm thinking of like Substack. You have, or even commentary videos, you have a perspective that you're wanting to share, but it feels like you're, and the fact that it was the Queen of not the Queen of Wands, the fact that it was the Queen of Swords that came out, it feels like there is some super awesome, like, valid ideas that you have. It's just the Page of Wands came out in reverse. It feels like you don't have a plan or a way of structuring some kind of framework of putting those ideas in like a cohesive format for people to understand, like a script. I'm seeing a script, an article, or something that's shared online with words, poetry, even magazine, something in writing. Everything starts in writing, obviously, so but maybe the format that you're wanting to share is in writing, or it just could be that you have ideas that you're very protective of. The thing that I wanted to say was there may be some experiences that you've had enough experiences of people shooting down your ideas, or you have been vulnerable with sharing something that you're interested in, and people just have had responses that have made you not want to share with people at all. But the thing with putting something out there and allowing yourself to be visible is that eventually you will attract the people who get it. So if it's not being seen, there may be, the Two of Swords came out again. Y'all saw me shuffling. The Two of Swords, it's like a stalemate. You're like, I could do this or I could do this. And the water in the background, it feels like and the moon, it feels like there's even the face of this person. This decision feels slightly emotional. This decision to not make a decision feels slightly emotional. Like the water is inching closer to, it almost looks like flood waters. Like the water is inching closer and closer to this person. So there's like whatever thoughts are causing you to freeze in a stalemate with making a decision, or just freeze in general, there's something emotional it's almost, it almost gives this image of the shore. So maybe something recently happened. Maybe you shared yourself recently, and it wasn't received. So on the surface, something might have recently happened that caused you to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it feels like those experiences get deeper and deeper as you go. Like the emotions that keep you from consistently sharing or wanting to share go deeper and deeper. And maybe you're not aware of all of those experiences, but yeah, it feels like part of you is a little bit frozen and guarded, and it feels like where you're at is, it feels safe to keep this to yourself. You need to start in baby steps. Yeah. So we have Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which is just the beginning of something creative, of something, some possibly opening your heart to something. It's the beginning stages of that. So start with baby steps. Figure out the plan, the grand plan, and break it down into small steps. Where can you start that isn't going to freak you out, freak yourself out? I don't know what I was about to say. Okay, I'm at 25 minutes here. I really don't want to go any longer, and I mean, yeah, I have enough storage, but we're going for a little longer than I normally go. So I have a bunch of like tea fortunes in this little sound bowl. In the beginning is you, in the middle is you, and in the end is you. I don't know if you can see that. The light is from a small seed, a mighty trunk may grow. This feels like the small steps into the plan, growing the eventual, or getting you to the eventual destination that you're wanting to get to. So the tree is a destination, but the tree came from a small seed. There's nothing like you, there was nothing like you, and there shall be nothing like you. So beautiful. I love these. I really do. And then lastly, he who wants a rose must respect the thorn. He who wants a rose must respect the thorn. Part of what you're doing feels like exposure therapy. I don't know why that last message made me think of that. It's exposure therapy. Whenever you're approaching something that you fear, obviously it's not harming someone else or yourself, but it's like a project or opening up to someone, telling someone your truth. There's fear there, but if you think of it like exposure therapy, maybe that would be beneficial because it gets you to the other side, and you want to get to the other side. The more reps that you get in allowing yourself to be in the fire, to allow yourself to be forged in the fire of your fear, you will come out something else, something stronger, something cultivated and beautiful. I'm thinking of blacksmiths making jewelry. It starts as this like underdeveloped thing, going back to the maiden, going through the maturation phase and becoming a woman. That is a visible and I mean I'm a cisgendered woman, so I could say that like that was a very visceral experience, being forged in fire. And there are plenty of other examples in life where we're going to experience that. We can choose to experience that. It really is a choice. Or we can stay stagnant. We can stay frozen and underdeveloped. It's your choice, but I think I know what you want to do. In your time, of course, okay? Thank you for coming to visit. I hope that was helpful. Leave me any comments on any epiphanies you had throughout this, and I'll see you next time.